Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/entitledparents. So let's sit back, relax and enjoy some Reddit stories. My kid lost his money. Where is his free stuff? I hate them all. Loathe it as people tend to suck. That being said, on occasion I do have to mingle with the masses. This is one such occasion. On this trip, my son was being quite well behaved. As a treat, I said we could browse the Lego store. He didn't bring his wallet, so he wasn't making a purchase, just checking it out. He loves to browse and plans on saving up and buying on his next trip. As we are browsing, we see it, a lovely $10 bill on the floor. No one is near it, so I tell my son to grab it. He looks around and sees no one searching, so he picks it up. Now, I know found money should always be turned in. Before we can even have a conversation about it, we hear a lady talking to the manager. She was calm and polite with her kid, maybe 8, standing by her side, obviously sad. "He lost it here." "I'm sorry, no one has turned it in." "That was my birthday money. How will I get Legos now?" "I don't know, let's look around again and see if we can find it." My awesome kid turns to me. "Hey dad, I think this is his money." "Okay, what are you gonna do?" My son shrugs. After a moment, he walks over to the employee. Can I help you?" "I found this money over there," points to where I am standing. "Really? Thanks for turning it in. How would you like a free Lego figure?" "Really?" Then he looks at me. He's not allowed to take gifts without approval. I nod and he looks back. "Thank you," and runs off to pick his figure. "Excuse me, did I hear that right?" "Yes, he found the money and turned it in." This is where it takes a turn, because up to this point nothing memorable had happened. "What are you giving my son?" His $10. "That's already his. You gave that boy a Lego figure. What about my son?" "That boy returned the $10 your kid dropped. He deserves a reward." "It almost ruined my kid's birthday. Surely he deserves something too." "I don't think so." After that, she was huffing around the store pouting. We took our free figure and left. As a retail worker as well, I love how the store staff handled it. She seems so normal at first. I guess you will never know when someone will turn into an entitled parent. I think the Karens might be adapting. They're getting rid of the normal Karen haircut and they're just going with normal looks to try and trick us. Entitled kid wants my Pixel 2 XL after I tell him he can't have my speaker. I had recently got paid and wanted to blow my third paycheck that I had gotten. So one thing I was lacking was technology. I wanted to get a phone and I wanted a good one. So I got the Google Pixel 2 XL. I settled on this because its camera was amazing and I like the user interface setup. I also spotted the JBL Flip 4 speaker and thought it was neat due to its waterproofing. The phone was about 800 Canadian dollars and the speaker was $104. So here I am, 3 hours later on the bus. I loved it. I was obsessed with the phone and hadn't even taken the speaker out of the Walmart bag. And here comes an entitled kid. I could just tell by the way he walked and paid the driver. Oh boy, he was gonna be hell. Guess who had a free spot next to them? Me. And here he comes. "Hello, how are you doing today?" I noticed his eyes glued to the bag and my phone. "Good, what is that in the bag?" "Oh, it's a speaker I bought at Walmart." "Can I have it? I'm very poor." He was wearing some clothing from Walmart and Nike shoes. He definitely was not poor. "No, I bought it. It's rude to ask that too." "Why?" "Please leave me alone if you are going to beg for my stuff." "Fine, if you aren't gonna give me it, then I want your phone." This kid literally grabbed it out of my hand and started playing the game I was playing. He was around 12. I'm sitting there in disbelief. Are you serious? Shut your freaking mouth. I'm playing this game on my phone. Okay, I get my reaction is a little rude, but I was a little ticked and he made it a lot worse. I hit the kid's hand and take it back, which he starts crying. Here comes a man about 40-ish. What the heck just happened? This kid just... The entitled kid crying and yelling, "He stole my phone from me!" Actually, tell him to give me it back. Actually, this kid just took it straight from my hands, and I just bought it. I show him the receipt. Give me a second. I see him walk toward the front of the bus, talk with the driver, and then we stop. Entitled kid, I'm gonna need you to get off the bus immediately, and call your parents. But I did. Have a good day. He leaves the bus and the driver phones his parents. This guy got his pass revoked and was not allowed on the bus anymore. The guy said, "Oh, my reaction might have been a bit rude" when he replied with, "Are you serious?" And at first I was like, wait, how is that rude? And then I realized he was paying 800 Canadian dollars, so he's Canadian, and that makes more sense now. Entitled Anne thinks a $500 collectible console is worthless, and I should just give it to my cousin because it's just a cheap old thing. So, for some backstory, growing up I was always a PlayStation guy, but was always fascinated with Nintendo, mostly due to my love for the Pokemon anime, but could never justify to my parents why I needed one. Recently, I bought a Nintendo 64 Pikachu edition, brand new, never opened. For those of you who don't know, Pikachu Edition Nintendo 64 is a very rare console, even rarer are the sealed versions. They currently go for $550 for the sealed and $250 for the opened ones, and graded ones are $12.25. I was gonna get mine graded before this. Recently, my aunt came over to my house because my cousin wanted to meet me. He's an amazing kid, definitely his dad's influence. His mother, on the other hand, is the exact definition of an entitled witch. Example, one day she locked herself in a room with rat poison and threatened to drink it if my other aunt and uncle didn't leave her house because she didn't want any guests that day. Very interesting creature. So I was out and told them to take the keys from my neighbor and enter the house, and just make themselves comfortable. After a short while I came home, and to my shock and horror, and everything in between, found my Nintendo 64 opened with the Pokemon cartridge in as both of them are playing. I asked in shock what they were doing, and she said the most monotonous tone, "What? We were just playing." Steaming with anger, I asked her, "Do you realize what you have done?" She said, "What? It's not like he's gonna break it, and anyway, it's really old and weak anyway. You should get better things." At that point, I thought to myself, there's no point in arguing with her since people like her never understand. So, I just gave up and played with my cousin. By the way, after playing for some time, I realized why people really like these retro Pokemon games. They are fun. After it was all said and done, and it was time for her to leave, as the kids sat in the car, she asked me if I could give the console to my cousin as he really liked it. I straight up refused. She said, "It's just a cheap old thing, you can buy like 1,000,000 of them, just give him this." I said that she could buy a stock Nintendo 64 for quite cheap, but I was not giving them this one. She said it was my duty to give them this console as he is basically my brother. I refused and she huffed and puffed and said, "Fine, I'll buy it from you," and handed me a 20 saying keep the change. Yeah, this would not even cover the empty box, which itself is 60. and I told her that it was worth $550. She just huffed and said if I didn't want to give her this, I should have just said so. This finally broke me, as I said, "Do you know that you just removed $200 worth of value from it? You should have paid me for this instead of just offering me a 20, then huffing at me. Just because dad and uncle never told you no, doesn't mean I won't." Hearing this, she just stood there in shock. I think her brain was not able to register what just happened. As she sat up in her car, she regained consciousness and shouted, "I will tell your father about this," rolled up her windows and left. Now, people, no one likes her, not even my father, so that is the least of my worries. It's just good that I will never have to hear from her again. Almost worth the $200 I lost in value of the console. Wow, well, they took that better than I would, definitely. He was just like, "Oh, I'll just play it then." Like, $300 is a lot of money. I'm pretty sure you could go to like small claims court for that. Entitled parent almost gets herself $800 in the hole and evicted. So, when I was a teenager, some issues with my parents led me to falling into the care of my nicer aunt, henceforth NA. About a year into me living with NA and her kids, her husband was a trucker and frequently gone, but will be TU. My manipulative witch of an aunt, this story's lucky EP, henceforth EA, managed to weasel her way into her and her family, staying for a few months because she got herself kicked out of her old place. A few months after Entitled Aunt moved in, about a year or so ago, her daughter started to complain about my Magic the Gathering decks and Dungeons and Dragons books being in the dining room. For clarification, the stuff was sitting on a small table out of the way in the dining room because I would frequently play D&D with my male cousins and play Magic the Gathering with both my male cousins and my trucker uncle. Well, Entitled Anne has always had a habit of throwing away things she didn't care about, even if the stuff wasn't hers. She approached me and the conversation went as follows. "You need to get your stuff out of the dining room." It's not like it's in the way, plus nice aunt and trucker uncle said I could leave it there since I use that stuff to play with my cousins frequently. Well, Entitled Daughter said that it was in the way and she didn't appreciate it taking up so much space. It's in an organized pile on top of a small table that no one uses. "I don't care. Get your stuff out of the dining room or I'm throwing it away." "You do that and I'm footing you the bill to replace it all." "You don't have the right to demand anything of me." "You are the guest and it's my stuff that I had permission to keep there. You have no right to touch it." "You would just look up crazy expensive prices for them because you hate me." "No, I would give you their current market prices, be them higher or lower than what I originally paid for them." "Why the heck would I give you more than what you paid for them?" "Because values of collector's items change over time depending on supply and demand. You would pay the current price to replace them." "I'm not replacing anything." "Then you aren't throwing my stuff away." "Whatever." She then walks off in a huff back to her room. Skip to about a week later. My trucker uncle is back from town for a weekend. He and I are playing Magic the Gathering when Entitled Aunt comes in to try start trouble again. "Your nephew there has been causing me a lot of stress and has tried bossing me around." "What did he do?" "He was demanding money for accusing me of destroying his stuff." My trucker uncle turning to me, "Is this true?" "Not really. She was threatening to throw away my Magic the Gathering and D&D stuff. I told her if she did, I would be expecting her to replace it." "I see." "Even if I did do that, it's just a few books and cards. How much could that possibly be?" My trucker uncle turning to me, "Well, you're one of the ones who buys most of your cards and books. How much would it be?" "Well, the 3 books have an MSRP of $20 each, but they are from 2000 and out of print. The most readily available versions would be the latest release." $60 for 3 books? Hold on a second before you get too ahead of yourself. That was back in 2000. The 5th edition books, which run about $50 each, or $100 for the box set of 3. He's just pulling these numbers out of thin air. Let him finish. Then, I have about $30 to $40 worth of dice. Before we even get to the cards, there are 4 deck boxes worth $10 each, and 2 worth $15 each, and then 6 boxes of card sleeves at $10 each. That's like $160, plus the $100 for the books. I'm not going to ask you again, let him finish. Me, pointing to each deck as I go along, that deck is about $30, that deck is about $60, that one is about $40, that one is about $80, that one is about $290, and the one in the sleeve box is about $30. And how much is that in total? It's $790 before shipping. He's making that all up. Is that true? Not at all. I keep my decks logged in this app. It gives me the market price for each card, not counting basic lands, which I have plenty of. My trucker uncle turning to entitled aunt, well, there's your quote with proof. If you throw his stuff away, you owe him a minimum of $800. And if you refuse, you can find somewhere else to live like you've technically supposed to have been doing this whole time. I will not have a guest throwing away the property of someone who actually lives here. Whatever. She then walks off back to her room, again in a huff. Now that that's over, whose turn was it again? It's your turn, you were just about to untap. That's awesome that the trucker uncle gets to enjoy the games, because if he only gets to see them once in a while, it's good to have something to bond over, I guess. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like, and if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.